Hey, welcome to Getting Started Certifications. My name is Mark Brophy, and I work for the cybersecurity company Secure IT 360. Join us today as we dive deeper in the world of IT certifications, exploring how to determine quickly and easily whether or not certifications are right for you. These tips are from a seasoned, experienced IT professional and are geared for anyone looking to get started with the IT certification process. So hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's get going on this thing together. So our goals for today, we're going to introduce you to the IT and security certification process. Get to know some of the benefits of being certified. Get to know some of the drawbacks. With every good thing, there's always a drawback, and you need to weigh these things out. Get to know the different between different types of certifications that are out there. Compare and contrast certifications versus college degrees. I get this question asked a lot. Should I go back to school for a degree, or should I spend money on certifications because there's costs involved? And we're going to dive into that to help you make some determination. We're going to actually also help you determine which certifications are right for you, if any. And we're also going to set up some realistic goals for achieving your certifications during your career if you choose this path. Real quick, everything I'm sharing with you are my personal opinions based on my 20 plus years of experience through certifications and having an IT and security career. They do not reflect any of the companies I've worked for, past or present, any of the vendors I have been certified in, past or present, or any other organizations. My purpose is to share these, my insights with you under a guise of mentorship, let you see what I've done, see if things work for you, and just give you general information to help you in this challenging process. So enough about me. Let's talk about me. We're going to use my career and what I've done in mine to kind of help explain the certification education process. But in order to do that, you got to know about me. I first started in the IT field back in 2000. I received my first certifications back in 2001. I received my A plus, Network plus, Microsoft Certified Professional back then. I got my very first entry-level IT job where I was literally working for a company in an IT department for 40 hours a week back in 2001. Over the next 20 years, as my career grew, I got more advanced certifications. Over time, I went back to school and completed my bachelor's degree in 2006. Later on, I was fortunate enough to have a master's degree presented to me as far as tuition reimbursement for my employers. I took advantage of that and achieved my master's degree. Uh, I, my most recent certification was literally just this year, 2024. Uh, yeah, I'm still taking certifications, but for how long? My day job right now, I'm an incident responder and a team lead for Secure IT 360. On the side, I do teach cybersecurity local colleges and university as an adjunct faculty now for 5 plus years now, and have been well experienced with my 20 years as being a job applicant, as well as being a director manager, someone overseeing the hiring interview process. So I've crafted resumes to land jobs. I've also reviewed resumes for candidate positions I had open. And one of the things that the schools I've worked for have been pretty proud of is the fact that the people we've coached and mentored and educated, they've got a near 100% placement record once they attempt to enter the workforce. So as you can imagine, over my 20 plus years career, I've taken many certification exams from many different organizations, from entry level to top of the industry. My career has gone from entry level 20 years ago to senior engineering to management. I've created job listings, interviewed employees for open positions, and I've been both sides of the hiring table. And I'm going to say that some certifications are very much worth the effort, and there's a lot of them out there that are just total crap. They're just garbage. And the list of the certifications and certified bodies during this presentation is not complete. If I omitted some valuable certifications out there, it's not that I'm throwing shade at them. It's just that I'm trying to keep this presentation short and sweet and brief. But it is a zoo out there. There's so many people that are spinning up certifications left and right, claiming that their competency level is high or that they're the best of what's next. And you got to be careful about that. And then once again, what you see in here are my personal and professional opinions based on my experiences in my career. Some other professionals you talk to, they might disagree. So I encourage you to listen to their advice and dig into the facts. Ultimately, it's up to you to map out your career and make your right choices. And I hope what I present you here today helps in that process, whether or not you choose to listen to all my advice or some advice or none of the above. So what you have in front of me is a visualization, a timeline of my career going all the way back to 2001. If you look at the bottom row here in green, we've got the years indicated of when there were different milestones in my career. Hopefully this a little more easier to view for you folks. The next level up, we've got the type of job I was in or was applying for. As you can see, starting in 2001, was entry level. And by the time I hit close to 10 years of my career, I was senior level positions, which you would expect that in someone with career growth. And of course, the top row is the corresponding certifications, or if I had worked on a higher education degree, whether or not what they were in the timeline. So as you can start seeing my career, that as I was moving along, things were moving along with me from both certification aspect as well as higher education. And we'll circle back and dive into this a little deeper here in a little bit. And real quick, just a warning about certifications. Don't always believe what you read about certifications online, and that might be the reason why you came across this video. Is there's so much information out there. It's a bit of an overload and a lot of trash talking. And the root cause of all this is obviously it's money. There's a lot of information around there. Certification aspect of IT has become a $250 billion business. So there's a lot of people out there trying to uh, upsell their products and make it seem like you should invest the money to their process. A lot of seller surveys that they're trying to tie the value certifications to salary ranges. And a lot of these sites, they omit or they play with the information in such a way that it skews the numbers. And it may make it seem like that certifications can automatically give you a salary boost when compared to what actually happens in the workforce. And we'll dive into that. Certifications do come in different shapes and sizes. There are a lot of lazy authors out there to nowadays trying to crank out blog content just to get the clicks. And of course, there's vendors who profit from the certification process. They try to compare and contrast certifications with each other and unevenly. They try to trash talk. But you know what? As they say here, a Fanta will never be Coke, no matter how hard they try. Fanta is perfectly fine beverage, but let's face it, it's Fanta. It'll never be Coca-Cola, no matter what. And certifications don't replace or make up for common sense or real world experience. And we'll dive in that a little deeper as well. And as stated before, these are my opinions. I'll try to cut through the fog as much as possible, to kind of help you folks out. And here we are, certification fanboys and salesmen are everywhere. As my good friend Flavor Flav says, don't believe the hype, right? There's a lot of bragging rights. People want to go online and boast that they've accomplished this, that, or the other thing, and in essence, they may not matter that much. And they make it appear that it has more weight or more value than it actually does. So when this happens, when there's a lot of trash talking or a lot of buzz, it gives the appearance of something of value. Because basically, there's a lot of egos and a lot of company, and of course, a lot of money at stake. As always, social media shares a lot of misinformation, so you got to choose wisely. And you're gonna be constantly told once you start the certification process that you're gonna need to power up. You need to that certification you worked hard for today. Well, that's not any good anymore. You need to go to the next level, whether it's through one brand or another. And it's complete and total nonsense. What you invest in your time will never be, if you listen to my advice here, will never be wasted, and you don't have to go well beyond your means just to stay relevant. So backing up for a minute, some of you might be saying, well, certifications, what are they and where do they come from? How do we get ourselves in this situation? Well, an IT certification is a designation demonstrating a competency in a certain aspect of technology. Um, the certifications usually follow some sort of assessment, whether it's a online exam or perhaps an online labyrinth of quizzes or stuff that you may have to complete. Uh, and the one difference is that certifications is that they're often vendor specific, but not always. And we'll dive into that a little bit. Where all this came from was back in the early, the dot-com era. There were a lot of people who were working out of their garages or working for companies like Radio Shack selling computers who were extremely knowledgeable on computers. and the workforce was just growing so massively that, and at the time, colleges and universities did not really have full computer programming degree programs that we have today. So there's this massive void of talent, and companies needed to find a way that if someone walked in the door and says, I can do computers, I can write code, I can manage a web page, they need to have a way to validate those skills. And that's where the certification process came from. It was a tip of the hat to non-typical experience or non-standard education that demonstrated you still have the skills required to do the job. And at the end of the day, that's all that really mattered. Now, typically certifications fall into about 6 different categories. You've got your vendor specific category where you're tied specifically to one vendor. Then you've got vendor neutral certifications. You've got industry specific certifications. And then within those three, you may have subsets. You'll have an entry level exam. There might be one that a certification that demonstrates a little more experience than entry level, but maybe not a senior level expertise. But then, of course, every certification will have its crown jewel, the highest level certification at an expert level. So vendor-specific certifications, these are where the product owners themselves, the big companies like Microsoft, Cisco, Palo Alto, CrowdStrike, the list goes on and on. Most of these companies all have a certification process to facilitate quality support and pre-sale support and engineering for their products. If someone is out there providing support for Microsoft and claiming they're doing technical support on behalf of Microsoft, Microsoft wants to make sure that you're competent enough to use those terms, and that's where this all came from. The larger vendors Cisco and Microsoft, they first started doing the certification process back in the 90s, again to the .com, where there's just a massive growth in computer networks and the need for skills. Uh, Certifications from these vendors are often placed in tiers. As we mentioned, there's the entry level, mid level, and senior level. And then some may have some specializations within. For instance, Cisco, once upon a time, Cisco's CCNA exam or certification was a standalone certification. Now there are subsets within the CCNA, such as security or voice, because the technology have changed so much that there is a need for the specialization or the flag that you are specialized in more than just general networking from Cisco. And stated before, these certifications have become a cash cow for many companies. And sometimes these are considered job taxes. You have to pay fees and man hours to keep your certifications valid. There is a continuing education process involved, and it's something to factor in as you go through this process. And we refer to that job tax, so to speak, as the George Jetson treadmill, right? Once upon a time, you were certified in Windows 2003. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that your certification is relevant today, right? You need to be continually retested to stay current. And that's not really a bad thing because it keeps you relevant, but it's definitely going to take time, and the examination fees, time and again, are something to consider. This can absolutely come into your advantage that if you start your career off working for an IT services company and you're supporting Microsoft and you started with a Windows 2008 certification, and then you recertified in 2012 and then 2016 and 2019. Well, now when you stand in front of a customer, you can show to them that you've been Microsoft certified for well over a decade, and that just adds to your credibility as an engineer and adds to your value to the customer. Now, a lot of people choose to go down the road of vendor neutral certifications. And there are several organizations that have put forth standards for which they certify against. ISC2 is an organization that does specifically for information security. ISACA deals a lot with audit, risk management, and then of course, if you're dealing with risk management, you're talking about security concepts as well. SANS has been a well-known leader for specific information security topics. The one that most people come across as starting off in their certification is CompTIA. And CompTIA is a unique animal in the fact that it's a consortium of IT vendors. And these are IT vendors such as Microsoft, Cisco, Google, Facebook, really big names out there as far as IT. And they come together and agree on a core set of skills that do not lean one way or the other. You can take any CompTIA exam and not be familiar with Macintosh, for instance, or Amazon Cloud. If you're going down that road up front, they really try to keep the concepts vendor neutral, which is a great place to get started when you're just starting off in your IT career, because you might not know where your career is going to take you, and investing into one product line might not be the right time for you. And then we have industry-specific certifications. Some business functions have their own certification bodies based on to the unique functions they perform in an organization, such as project management or workflow efficiency or disaster recovery. The previous groups of ISC2 and ISACA can be lumped in here because security could be its own dedicated role within organizations, and of course, so does compliance and risk management. Now, different certification bodies may have different certification levels, right? And the different levels will be identified by primarily they'll list the requirements to take the exam or what they feel a successful candidate should look like. And they'll say something in the fact like 1 to 2 years experience on the job, whereas senior exams might say 3 to 5 years experience. Some of these other identifiers might be by course number. SANS is well known. They end up choosing their course numbers following the college course model. So courses that start with a 400 series are viewed as a lower exam or lower class compared to a 700 series. And then some of the organization bodies out there will actually list out a full progression for you. For instance, Cisco, one of their beginning level certifications is the CCNA. The next level up that they'll tell you is the CCNP, the network professional, and then the top of their mountain is the expert certification. Wherein Microsoft has a similar path, where the Microsoft Certified Professional moves on to the Microsoft Certified System Administrator, which moves on to the Microsoft Certified Engineer. Well, as you've probably been told by now, certifications, you study, you take an exam, you get certified, and you get job offers, right? Everything's sunshine and rainbows. Well, here's the thing. Certifications can be costly to take on. Some certifications can take hundreds of dollars just to take the exam, and there is no retake policy if you fail. You have to pay again for many of these organizations. Certifications often have a maintenance fee that could anywhere be between a small amount of $20 a year up to $100 a year to just maintain, just to be able to walk around and claim that you're certified. On top of that, certifications require constant care and feeding. You'll have to sit in on some training courses throughout the year and document your additional training to stay relevant. And this is on top of the renewal fees. Now, there are lots of online courses you can take for free. There's a lot of workshops and stuff that you can sign up for. But the fact is, you're still going to have to carve off time and manage your certification. And then again, through all this, there's no guarantee that your employer is going to cover the cost. If you putting up your own certification exam out of your pocket, an employer who does the right thing should cover that exam for you if it's within your job scope. But there's no guarantee. And in the end, when you add all these things up, this is where the term job tax comes in, and the fact that the certification is just not a one and done and take it and forget it. There is going to be some labor involved to keep these things current. So the $1 million question, is all this worth it? Well, the $1 million answer is it all depends. So let's go on and dive in and ask ourselves the questions: what certification should I take? When should I take it? Or should I take any at all? So my advice to you is you need to know where you are in your career. What is your objectives today, right? Then where do you want to go? Where do you want your career to take you? Right? And know the difference, right? You need to know what your next step is, what your next step is within 30, 60, 90 days, within the next 1 year, not 10 steps down the road, not something that's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, right? Too many certifications on a resume or a right certification at the wrong time can be more harmful than good because it raises too many questions at the hiring table, or they seem like wrong fits, and then immediately your resume goes into the bid bucket. Now, there's no replacement for experience, but certifications can help get you experience you need to grow. If you're a student in school or you're a career changer trying to enter the workforce, certifications can absolutely help, right? You're striving for entry level position, and that's where you are, right? Don't strive for positions you're not qualified for, and therefore don't go after certifications that are not aligned with your goals for today, right? Nobody takes a certification exam and is hired as a senior level expert with zero experience. It just doesn't happen, right? And avoid the lure of some of the sexy certifications out there because they might hurt you in the hiring prospect. Uh, Therefore, I would start with some entry level exams such as like A plus, Network plus, Microsoft Security plus, GX Security Essentials. And there's a lot of other companies or vendors out there that have entry level certifications. I would explore those first. Reason being is if you have no experience and you show one with a senior level certification, you're going to be a mismatch, and your resume is just not going to be appealing to hiring managers. Now, if you're already working in IT or in security and you're in the workforce, it's okay to take an exam at the level you're at, right? You are striving to show growth and initiative, and certifications can demonstrate this, right? No one takes a certification exam and is hired as a senior level expert with no experience, but companies will promote you internally if you demonstrate the ability to grow, right? Managers want to know if you can handle the senior workloads, and certifications demonstrate that you have that potential. And more importantly, it shows that you have the initiative, right? Look at some of the vendor-specific jobs titles out there, and line up the exams that go with them, and see what happens. As I've already mentioned, certifications are for resumes, right? Certifications can fill in gaps on your resume that you might have. Perfect example would be if you went to college and you have an undergraduate degree in liberal arts or something that's non-technical and you're applying for a technical job, certifications can fill in those gaps. Now, when you should be constantly working on your resume, even if you have a job, right? Your career requires constant care and feeding. You should be mapping out or putting out a roadmap of where you are, what you hope to accomplish, whether internally with your company or what your overall career path and goal is, and draw out a map. And as you look at each step along the way, look at your resume and figure out what might be missing there to add to that. And yes, this process is going to span years and not weeks or months, right? This is something, as I mentioned, your career should require constant care and feeding. Now, this is where you need to be careful, right? We need to choose wisely. If your certifications don't match your experience, or if your certifications are too senior or junior for the position you're going for, you're going to have a difficult time landing an interview. Forget about even getting into the job. You need to have the appropriate amount of certifications and the right certifications for the job. Having too many can be just as harmful as too little. Ah, yes, the old job hiring catch 22. You need experience to land a job, but how do you get experience if you don't hold a job to begin with? Well, certifications can demonstrate skills that can compensate for that experience to a degree, or at least they can get you room for an interview. That if you're demonstrating skills that are going to be required for the job at hand and you're lighter on the experience than the candidacy would want, there may be opportunities for you to at least get into a room and demonstrate your abilities. And that's the end of the day, that's the whole goal is with any certification or anything with a college degree is to get in that room for the interview and to and take it from there. Now, I touched on this a little bit. And of course, there's questions about certifications versus higher education, right? In today's modern workforce, even entry-level positions are requiring some sort of form of education, whether it's just a few college credits or associate's degree. And then the senior positions are definitely requiring a completed bachelor's degree. But here's the thing, the degree you complete may have little bearing, right? Why does all this matter? Well, you can blame it on AI, you can blame it on HR. Right? When HR departments got thousands of job applicants for a position and were trying to find ways to make their haystacks smaller, they threw monster filters in place. And there's a lot of good resumes out there that end up in the bit bucket because they were missing either proper degree requirements or proper certifications, or the resumes didn't line up properly, and therefore you might be the right candidate for the job, but the technology got in the way and kicked you out of that, right? The right amount of certifications can complement degrees very nicely. So these are basically two sides of the same coin, right? There's going to be companies you're going to apply for that are going to want college degrees, and there are some that are going to want certifications, and there's definitely some that are going to want both. Now, having worked in higher education for several years part-time, I've gotten an insight, and some higher educators are on board certifications. I think it's great. But you know what? There's a lot of old schoolers, a lot of time people who don't quite get it, or they kind of feel threatened. Now, these are individuals who may have spent 7, 8 years of college to gain higher level degrees, and they can't believe that someone might potentially go through a 30-day program of self-taught training and come out with certification and be equally qualified for the job, right? They're viewing the value in the long time investment in traditional education, and certifications, fly in the face of that. Um, you know, Here's the thing. Back 20 years ago, that would may have been the case, but nowadays there's so many colleges and universities have modified their cyber degrees or their information their IT degrees that now they do tailor and map what's out for the workforce requires. But there was definitely a period of time where the degree you came out of with college had absolutely nothing to do with the job that you're going to end up sitting down for. I can remember taking computer science classes that had absolutely nothing to do with computer networking or Cisco routers, but yet that was a part of my everyday job. And when brought to light, the instructors didn't quite like the fact that what they were teaching me wasn't really job relevant. But here's the thing. It's not either or. As mentioned, these are two sides of the same coin, right? Uh, Balance is the key to getting hired and getting promoted and moving up. Right? Too much education without demonstrated skill sets can limit your marketability. Right? Too many skill sets without some level of education can almost also limit your marketability and your growth. You may be working for a company and may be more than qualified for the next level senior or management position, but if HR is requiring a degree and you don't have it, that's just how it is, right? So employers do prefer a mix of both. A degree says you can learn. A certification says you've got skills, and both are required. So let's take a step back. Now that we've talked to you about certifications and degrees, let's look at my career. Here's my story and how certifications and degrees play their part. Uh, my Before entering the IT workforce, I had an associate's degree in social sciences. I didn't have anything technical, so I was fortunate enough to be able to take some computer training, my A plus certification, my Network Plus, my Microsoft Certified Professional in Windows 2000, and that landed me in my first IT job doing IT, PC, and network support. And as I was at this company for several years, and they were predominantly a Microsoft environment, I was able to grow my skill set and take more Microsoft certifications and get the Windows 2003 certification and the Microsoft Certified Administrator. So I have some growth there. Now, I had always intended to go back to school to finish my bachelor's degree, but I was starting to realize as I was starting to hit an internal glass ceiling of my skill sets that I really needed to have a bachelor's to move on to what I was looking to accomplish my career. So I went back to school and got my degree in information security. In 2008, that led me to move to another company where I worked as a senior level technologist. And then with that same company, back in 2010, 2011, that company promoted me to director. I now went from being hands-on engineering to more management, still a hands in the technical stuff, but because I had that degree, it moved me into that role. Well, now that I was in management, I had other things to worry about rather than whether my router works or not. When dealing with things as far as business continuity and management, so I took training certifications along that line. For a period of time, I decided to try doing some consulting, and that's where I received some other certifications to kind of help express my expertise in the fields we were looking to consult with. Came back to run another company IT department, and this is where I started getting more and more IT certifications in incident handling. Now at this point, I've been dealing hands-on with security for probably close to 5, 6 years, and this company working for, again, I mentioned I was able to go back to school, get a master's degree with employer reimbursement. So that's free money. Take that every time. So I did that. Continuing on my certification process, got a degree, got my certifications in security architecture, and then my master's business continuity because I've been certified with this organization for over a decade. I now had experience with that. Took the CISSM uh, certification for management. So now this is documenting all my years of experience in senior level consulting and management. And then just this last year with the company I'm working for, we've adopted a new program or product line that we're using. I've been asked to be the lead on that. So I, completed 3 certifications for this company because of the need for the needs of my organization. And then I ended up taking Security Plus, not because I needed it, because one of the universities I was teaching for wanted to make sure that the courseware they were developing matched the current curriculum of Security Plus. So I sat and took the exam so I can give them that feedback. But the point of all this is along the way, my certifications kind of matched what I was doing or where I was headed. So one of the key points out of this is the proper certification at the right time led me getting hired, right? That's how I got started. But what ultimately led to promotions was the longevity in the field combined with demonstrated growth. I showed that I could grow, whether it was by taking certifications or by taking continuing education and completing my degree or my master's degree. Now, not having the right certification at the right time was a small hurdle. There were some times early in my career I wanted to do more with Microsoft, but I couldn't because I did not have the top level Microsoft exam, and that was okay. My career worked fine without it. Today in security, if you've been in the field for over a decade, it's kind of reasonable to expect that to have some sort of certification or specialization. And we're talking like the CISSP from ISC2 or the CISSM from ISACA or any other security plus. If you're in this field for a long period of time and to demonstrate your security skill sets, you're going to need to take some certification to kind of bookmark that. Now, what I didn't list here is along the way, there are a lot of these micro certs I've collected over the years. And what are micro certs? Well, a lot of times if you purchase a product from an IT vendor, they'll give you training or you'll pay for training for the product. And at the end of the training, if you take their exam at the end of the course and you pass it, you're deemed certified. Now, do they move the needle as far as me being hireable? Not really. I took them when they were free, but more importantly, they documented my experience. So if I claimed that I was an IT auditor and I had experience in scanning and reconnaissance tools and I had certifications from vendors to match that, that just bolstered my claim. The key takeaway here is the major certs listed here fit the narrative of my career, right? We're talking about business continuity, CISSP, incident handling, architectural, master business continuity, security management. These all tell the narrative of my career. And here's my narrative, right? Entry level position, I had my A plus, not plus, and MCP. I had mid level position, senior level management positions. I have my CSP showing I was a seasoned security professional, a GSNA specializing in auditing, a GCA specializing in incident handling, a GDSA specializing in security architecture. So my narrative is, Mark Brophy is a seasoned security professional and a leader with expertise in auditing, incident handling, security network design. Does that sound like someone you like to hire to run your security program? That's the key. Draw out your narrative and have your certifications, your education line up with that. So now it's time for you to go forth and write your own narrative, right? Be a dreamer and shoot for your goals, but don't forget where you are today and know that your final destination may require you several steps along the way, right? Keep one foot in front of the other while you strengthen your position today. And what you find when you draw out your goals, seek out what fits and ignore the rest. There may be certifications out there that are bright and flashy, but if they don't really fit what you need or what you're trying to accomplish, are they really of value to you? Right? That might be for somebody else, but most important person in this conversation is you. And my path was my path. There is no right way or wrong way. Only you can decide your right path. And again, I'm sharing this under the spirit of mentorship. My opinions are my own. I'm not trying to force you into one line of certification or another or talk you in and out of higher education. I'm trying to say that this is a bit of a complex conversation and you need to break these pieces down so you can work it out together. Okay, in closing, certifications can value if they're current, relevant, and they're appropriate for the job you hold or the job you're seeking. Okay, I showed that my certification in Windows 2003, is probably not too current or too valid today, but I just explaining to my resume. So there might be instances where if I'm applying for a security position, I might leave that off because it's not relevant. And the same thing is you don't want to apply for a position where you have a certification that is overqualified, right? Certification can provide a good balance for those without college degrees or degrees that might not perfectly match the job. Again, I mentioned my first position. I had an associate's degree in social sciences, but the right certifications got me in the door, and I was able to land my first IT job. And certifications are part of your career, but they're not the sole purpose of your job. You should not be waking up every day wondering what certification you need to take next. Certifications are there to help you in your job and help you grow, whether it's internally or externally. Certifications can be resume enhancers and tiebreakers if they abide by all of the above, okay? And certifications can be viewed as a job tax if the current trend continues. Some companies out there want highly qualified individuals, but they don't want to pay for the care and feeding or the cost associated with it, right? You need to factor that in. At some point in your life, a higher education degree may be required, but when really depends on a lot of variables. And here's the cool thing. Nowadays, there are a lot of colleges that will accept certain certifications as course credit hours. So that can actually help you speed you up in your degree process. And finally, map out your own path. Find out what's out there and create a plan. Be diligent, but flexible if opportunity arises. Ask around, do some research, but trust yourself. Remember, it's you and you alone that's investing a lot of time and a lot of money into this. Investigate each certification on its own merit. Beware of hype, sales FUD, fanboyism, and all sorts of promotion. Again, it's you and you alone that have to put the effort into this. And don't expect overnight success. That never happens. So that's it. That's all we have today on IT certifications and education. I hope this has been of value to you. I hope for those of you getting started who aren't familiar with this topic or entering the IT workforce, this gives you some clarity and helping you determine what's the right path for you. And in the end of the day, that's truly all that matters. You need to have the right path for you. You need to find what that is and map that out. Uh, Please feel free to reach out to us for any comments below. Hope this has been of value, and I wish all of you best of luck in your career endeavors.